of my pay. I was like, oh my God, we're screwed.
Have you tried Google Pay?
I didn't take a look at it because I got so disappointed that I told my clients, just cash up me and let's fake it that we're just doing business. Because I'm not going to cash out. Um, you know, big stuff.
You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's just for me, but I can't really hear anything you're saying.
Yeah,
You,
just a little bit.
Got a little choppy for a sec.
oh, what about now? Let me see if it's my microphone.
That's better.
'Cause I got the AirPods. So what I mean is that they were charging me like 3.49% per transaction, and I had a customer that paid me like $1,000 for a basic website, and when I saw those $40 out of my thing, I was like, oh no. I mean, but you know what? As a programmer, you know the work they put on building a like the PayPal API or the Stripe API. So sometimes you got to, you just go with the flow, because if payment systems is not your main domain, you better stick to whatever is on the market and willing to pay whatever. But it's a shame. What I did was you can actually set up a donation thing on Stripe. Do you guys know about that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So with the donation, they wouldn't take the percent out of you, or maybe very little. But you need to be registered. You need to register your business and have a non-profit organization, which it sucks. I did it for a client. That's just a non-profit. However, I just wanted to do that fun stuff for you guys. Stripe is cool and everything, but as programmers, we're learning. And sometimes we just wish that we can have a time point where we don't have to pay for things. And it's a shame that we have to pay for absolutely everything, almost.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
disagree with that.
if you build the price into your, like, Patreon is a pretty cool platform where I believe they charge like 12.5% and they're using Stripe. So they're making what, 9%.
It's just adding on top of it.
Yeah, you add a
So
fee-
they're
add
taking
a fee
9%,
because
and then they're
whenever you
giving.
charge.
Yeah.
So
Oh
yeah,
my God.
you add fees to every product generally, or your cart fees. Basically, you don't put them in as fees. You put them in as like an additional charge of some sort. But generally, that's how you make up for those charges that Stripe or whoever gives you. I remember, like, 'cause I came from Authorize.net, which Authorize.net, you actually had it was only 10 cents per charge, but you had to license it. So Authorize.net itself was like 100 a year to use, but it was 10 cents on the charge, which was great for the, it was just 10 cents for every transaction, which was great.
Yeah. There's
That's
so many
not bad.
different ways you could do it too. Like if I'm charging someone $20 for a product and I know that Stripe is charging me 3.5%, I could just charge them $20.70, and it'll never be questioned. And that 70 cents covers that 3.5%.
There you go.
Agreeable. Put it in the fees.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the one that worked with point of sales before that just mentioned earlier in the call?
I worked with point of sale.
So funny thing, I've been looking for a job and I just got an interview today for a point of sale retail company, and I've been like, shit. but I think maybe we can talk later so you can give me some insights.
Sure. Yeah, POS just generally gotta think of it as like the front interface for your shopper and your the admin user that's right there. So basically, the person that's going to be using it to buy in, do items, it's got to keep up with all your inventory, all your products, etc.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah,
POS system keeps up with your inventory system. Like, have you ever heard of give me a second. I think it's Zelle. Let me I know it's not Zelle. Let me think of what it is really quickly. There's a service that actually has a good POS, and it's all most of the time.
Shopify.
Not Shopify. I know where you're going with that.
Where?
It starts with a Z. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I don't think it's
Zell? Oh.
I think maybe, but I don't know. I don't think it's Zell. Let me look.
Yo, can I just ask really quickly? We got Ivan in here. I know you were working on that Airbnb style website, and then I think Big Nate and John started a pretty cool looking shopping cart yesterday, right?
Yep.
That's right.
So
Yes.
I know Ivan. I know you had someone else working with you. He's not here tonight. He said he wasn't gonna be here
Yes.
tonight.
So yeah. So good that you mentioned that. I had two guys working with me, William, but he wasn't here yesterday. And remember, yesterday I couldn't work. My life is quite complicated right now, and I'm seeing how can I make it happen to be with you guys because I'm very excited to be here. Uh, but being unemployed, I have to be delivering at night, and I try to make it on time. But
Of course.
my life is quite like a mess right now because when you have kids, you can play around too much.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, but we have a name. I mean, I want to propose a name. I don't want to take like my decision for granted. But I thought about calling this. Stop calling it like Airbnb, whatever. I'm going with. Oh my God, what was the thing that I sent in the chat?
Momentum, I think.
Momentum, yeah. And I asked, don't laugh at me, but I asked ChatGPT and she was okay. What about you guys?
I like it.
like
Honestly,
it.
I'm not really a big marketing guy. I don't care about names at all. I think the name
Me
doesn't even
neither.
matter. I think if you build a high quality product, that's the most important thing. But I like the name.
Yeah. I
I
just
like
wanted to
the
get
name
some
a lot.
motivation behind it. Yeah, I just wanted to get some motivation behind it because when you have like a cool name or whatever, a cool brand,
Yeah.
it makes it like feel like real. I was like, okay, maybe we'll call it this momentum thing and just go with the momentum.
Yeah, momentum. Yeah,
agree.
if that word reflects what you're building, I think it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I think that if it's a name like Momentum, I think the most important feature would be helping people who never would have traveled become travelers because that's
Yes.
literally like getting that momentum
Moving
going.
people around.
Yeah, getting people
Exactly.
moving,
That's
giving
the
them that
reason
push.
behind it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So how do you give them that push? How do you make travel possible that wasn't travel before? That's a hard problem.
Oh, yeah. So, and I even have a bigger problem that maybe you guys, I know that you guys are gonna be working in your own project, but maybe think about this. I will build data based on what the users input as part of the business of what they expend. But I don't want to make it very complicated. I just want to make the host or homeowner who is renting their place to put like, hey, I went to this Pizza Hut and I spent $30. That's just the two questions I'll put. And then over time, the algorithm is gonna get better because as much as the as people are putting like I'm spending 80, I spend 30, then we can get an average of how much you can spend in that place, and we can provide a user experience that this application is saying to do. If but user can come here and put some fake data, and that's the problem that I believe that I'll have. And people come and say like this place doesn't even exist, and now we have a problem.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I want to build in like a month or two. I want to build a O1 Software Network website that actually presents all of the projects that people are working on with like little pictures of all the developers and maybe even give people a push to like get certain jobs or I don't know. I think it could be beneficial in one way or another, but I think it'd be
That'd be
cool
nice.
to have like a
That
centralized
sounds
location.
like another fun project.
hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun project in
What's in a
itself.
REPL for the use of that?
Do you imagine we all together building that amazing website for that, like helping you out, like with all the tools that we all know to build that thing? That'll be crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see your code because you said you were doing it in F# and .NET. So I'm like, man, I have never seen a project built with that. I've never built a project with that. So I would love to even if there's like a really, really small piece of code or task that you want done that you think somebody who's new to F# or .NET can handle, definitely throw it my way. I'd be interested in busting out a couple small things if I can.
I know that once you see the backend how simple it looks and how powerful it is, you'll be like, I don't take responsibility if you fall in love with F sharp. Okay, I just don't do, because C sharp, Java is the key, and Python and JavaScript are the king of the job market. But F sharp is not something that you're gonna find it everywhere.
Yeah.
However, if you fall in love because of how I fell in love, is just do it for love, for pure love and programming.
All right, cool.
Let's be
I'm
mad.
excited for that. I like the concept of functional programming. I dug into it a little bit. I like the concept. I just I had the time. I just never dedicated the time. I never prioritized learning a functional language, but I'm excited about it. That sounds good.
Yeah. So you know what? In my opinion, I have mixed feelings right now because I do like object-oriented programming. I love it. But in the end, when you think about functional programming, everything a computer cares about is ones and zero, in and out, true or false. And that's what eventually what a function is supposed to do: take some input, bring some outputs, or some transform data with a functor.
Yeah.
And in the end, that's what a program is supposed to do: just execute a function, change the data, modify the data, do what you got to do, and then that is just done. It's just functions. But
Yeah.
in the end, object-oriented programming has its magic too. So
True. Trade-offs, right? Yeah, I knew this dude
hmm
Ian used to come to our in-person meetups, and he taught people Haskell. He worked for Cardano, like some
hmm
cryptocurrency company or something like that. And man, he was breaking it down for me, and it just sounded really cool. It sounded cool.
yeah, it is cool. It's very cool.
It's like a whole different way of thinking.
hmm It's
But
quite confusing. It's quite confusing at first because you need to build functions that together make a program.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is it is totally different from building a class that inherits from a parent and has an interface and blah 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 blah. Yeah, here you have like function get first name, function get last name, and function print the full name, and they all together are just gonna be piped and give you the output.
mm,
Bang, that's it.
yeah, yeah. Sounds
So
cool.
yep.
So you're gonna be working on that tonight, then. I believe Big Nate, Nazar, and John and Anna are gonna be working on that shopping cart, and then that leaves Aditya, KWE, and Pi Guru. So I'm gonna be working on Aditya and I earlier. We're working on. I'll go ahead and just share my screen really quickly, and then we could decide who's working with who and all that. So basically, what we did earlier was, for those who are familiar with the repair website, you land on, you enter your zip code. Based on your zip code, you go to a sign up form, and the three pieces of the form are diagnosis, schedule form, and contact information. So you can see this is what we're actually collecting from each one of those pieces. Schedule, we still have to build that out, and then we have contact. And so what we did today was we started building the diagnosis form. And so with I'll go ahead and actually run the code so you can see. We started building the diagnosis form, and the tricky part was that, well, there's going to be a couple things we have to do. So when you select what the actual device type is, let me just enter an accurate zip code. So you can see this is the simple form we have so far. When you select a device, vacuum cleaner, then it fills in the make with the different makes of this device type. So if you change this to computer, you can see it changes the makes. I guess I have 90 minutes before I'm hopping off. So what I'm going to do tonight is, now I'm going to go to the make. So when you select the make, it shows you the different models, it's a lot of dummy code that I'm writing just to really test out this functionality. But eventually I would like to find an API that could import all vacuums, all vacuum makes, API that imports all stove makes, one that imports all washer makes, all computer makes. And so I don't want this to be dummy data, because we can't go and manually change things when they add a new device or different make, like a new company hits the market or something. We're not going to go in and we want to just do this one time, build it once, and never have to think about it again. Just hook it up to an API that's pulling in all this data. So that's going to be, I want to get this form up and running tonight just with dummy data, and then I want to start thinking about pulling in actual data from the APIs that exist, because that's going to make this way better.
Jim, if you can't find those APIs, you could possibly even scrape it from Wikipedia.
True. There's probably a Wikipedia that's like
with all the models and everything, yeah. And you could scrape that and actually create your own API to scrape that data, and then just call that data whenever you need it.
list of vacuum cleaners. Manufacturers, yep.
Yep, there you go.
There you go. Hopefully an API exists. If one doesn't exist, then we could go ahead and create one. Cool. So that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. It's going to be pretty simple. Basically just sort of repeating some of the code that we wrote this morning, but for the make instead of for the device, and write a little bit of dummy code just so we have a few makes to test it out with to make sure it's working. And then, yeah. So who wants to work on what?
I have a quick question.
Oh yeah, what's up?
I was just wondering if you have the backend portion of that set up.
Yeah, this is the backend. Well, right now I'm building everything just into a Node.js server. So it's Next.js running on top of I believe it's Express under the surface, but it's a Node.js server serving the server-side React. But I mean, some of the stuff are client components, but most of them, as many different pages and components that we can make server rendered, that's what we want to do. Some of them will have to, but yeah, most of it is server-side rendered React, and then we have the database already plugged in as well. It's just a SQLite database.
So when you're serving that, so you're basically running 2 servers at once?
No, it's one server. We're building all the functionality just into here right now, and when the time comes, if the time comes, then we'll go ahead and scale it out if need be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you had a different, what your solution to that was, because we came up with a solution. I don't know if it's the best way, but yeah, I would like to see that eventually.
Cool.
We're basically running a React server along with a Express server using one command, essentially using concat.
What's the React server?
Concurrent.
Concurrent, yeah.
So
concurrently,
it starts as a React server, but it compiles into like static files like index, HTML, JS, and CSS, and then it serves it once it's compiled.
Mm-hmm.
That's the solution that I came up with, but I wasn't sure if that was the most efficient way or not. It seems to work pretty good for us, but yeah, that's why I was just asking like what your solution was.
Yeah, we just went with Next.js on this project, and we're building everything onto this server just to keep things simple for the beginning, you know, keep everything nice and tight together. Although if we do build this API for all the different data that we need, then I'd probably do that on a separate server entirely.
You know what?
I don't want to have too much functionality built into the Node.js server, but a couple of like core pieces of functionality just to keep things simple for now. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get the model end stuff on the API, I guess you could say, like all the model end based stuff when it comes to like the database management and database pulls.
Yeah.
Trying to keep that via the API, at least on our end, because I think that just keeping the model end on that end would be a lot easier to be able to dig around code and tell what's happening.
Yeah, I keep things as tightly coupled as possible until I have to break it up, I guess. For now, I've never really had to break up too much, so maybe I'll build something eventually that requires me to break it up to actually make it happen, you know? That'd be cool.
The good thing with Next.js is that you can have the React application front end being delivered, but you can also have your API routes just in case you want to have a separate client. Let's say that you build your UI with Vue in a separate project. You can always point to the API version of your Next.js, even though your Next.js main route will serve a React application. So in the end, you have the flexibility of doing APIs, but also rendering your React application in the main route.
That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie,
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Pi Guru, what's going on? I think you're new, right? I don't know if you could unmute, but the mute button's on the bottom left of the screen. If you're on desktop, it looks like you're on mobile though. And then KWE, is this is your first night too, right?
Yeah, it's my first time.
What's your
right
name?
now.
What's your name?
Yeah, my name's Quion, but you can call me Qui.
Okay, Kui. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Where are you checking in from?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas right now, but the company that I work for is out of Florida. Right now I just do mobile application development for the past couple of years.
Nice.
I have some experience personally with React. I built a couple of personal projects in React, but nothing with Node.js. My back-end language of choice is Golang, so I've just done like a little bit of React, and then I chose to build APIs with Go, and then I build mobile apps with Flutter and Dart.
Cool. Well, welcome. All right, so we have
Very nice.
we have 3 projects we're working on. I'm working on the repair project. I believe Aditya is working with me. I'm not positive though. And then we got Ivan's project, the Airbnb with additional features, and then Nate's project, the shopping cart. So, Ivan, who's working with you tonight? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, so I don't see my guys here. Let me see. Um, yeah, I don't see my guys here, but again, I've been doing delivery, so if I start working, it'll be like around maybe 11 o'clock. So yeah, I'm gonna start late today. I'm sorry. I'm just here because I want to see you guys all the way that you're programming. So I'll be like in your project tonight. Because again, I apologize. I don't. My life is quite complicated right now, but I'm getting
No,
every
you're
piece
good.
together.
You're good, man. I just want to I'm only checking in because
Hmm.
I want to make sure you're not like in a room working by yourself. I want to make sure there's at least a few, even if the people you didn't start with are with you, that
Hmm.
at least a couple other people you're always working with someone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'll keep you posted, but I'll be mainly with you, watching you code and see if I can learn something from you
No
for
doubt.
now. Because until I get home and can start working.
It's good for small systems. All right, Aditya is going to be working with me. All right, cool. So why don't we do Anna, Nate, John, Nazar? I believe y'all were working in a group together last night. So why don't you 4 drop down into breakout room number 1? Aditya and I will stay in this room here, and then Pi Guru, Kui, and Ivan, just feel free to kind of float if you want. Pop in a breakout
Sure.
room number 1, help them with their shopping cart, help them think through it, code it up, whatever, and then feel free to hang out in this channel with Aditya and I as well. I'm just gonna pull up the code editor. I'm gonna share the link right now, so if anyone actually wants to hop in and code along with me, feel free to just click that and pop in, and we'll write some code.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Right on.
sounds good to me.
Cool. So the first thing I need to do here is I need to create a onMakeSelect function. onMakeSelect equals, again, this is going to be, we're passing in an event, and it's going to be a change event. HTML select element. So the change event is going to happen on the HTML select element. Now, when we click this onSelect function, what we need to happen is we need to do set selected make. Okay, so we already have this one here. And then similar to what we did here, we want it to always be a make. So initially we want this to be a make, and we want to make none, which we don't have created yet, but we could use this just so we know for sure it's always going to be a make. Device dot none. So I'll just make the make here. We have ID device. I'm gonna go ahead and just comment out this type for now.
But like for the make, would enum be a good choice? Because are there like only like certain finite number of makes?
Yeah,
Enums
yeah.
are
There's only
usually
a
like
certain number of
which-
makes. Yep.
Okay, but they are not never going to change, right? I mean, like in device,
Not,
you know that
not
these
for the
terms
most
are
part.
very.
I mean, there'll definitely be companies that go out of business and new companies that come up, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so like the in device, if you see the terms, those make sense to be enum because those are like generic terms like
Static.
vacuum, stove, washer, television, computer. They would never change irrespective of which company comes.
Yes. Yes.
But
Exactly.
make, are you sure? Like, because enums are usually those things where like you know that they are like strictly static. Like, so I'm just saying like I'm not sure. I'm not sure what enum basically like. Uh, I think I can see like Dyson, Kirby, Ricard. Those seems to be not like, what do you say, like the company names type. So I
Mhm.
don't think they would make sense to be as enum.
Yeah, because they changed. So what's your suggestion on this here?
So I mean, you could like make it like none, as in like undefined or null, just define as like that, or like
We're gonna have problems if we define it as null though, because it's gonna say, yeah, we're gonna get
so
some
like
errors.
some like term like what, like a string value like none. Let's say string none or something like that.
We could just do this though, can't we? If we have an ID, a device, and a name. So the thing is, selected make.
Why do you want to? Yeah, so I was saying like in the selected make is dependent on the selected device, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you like, let's say this, what you're doing is kind of like when you land on the page, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think the selected make use state actually would make sense. Instead, it's better to define it in like use effect. Like what is the initial selected device you choose, and its corresponding make. I think that would be the better, rather than like, so you have selected device dot none, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say the selected make, instead of putting it as use state, how would you make it dependent on the selected device?
It's already dependent on the selected device. Now we're trying to make the models dependent on the selected make. So the same way that we did selected make here, where we set makes with or selected device map. You got a little background noise, Ivan. Just a heads up if you want to mute when you're not talking. Same way we did this, and we set the makes. We're determining what the makes are based on the device. Now we need to determine what the models are based on the make. So we need this state.
Yeah, we need that. But I'm just thinking in the use state, the initial value, like, shouldn't it be something which is dependent on the device, selected device? That's what I'm thinking. The use
What?
state initial make value.
Yeah, I mean, look, when it comes down to it, eventually we're going to select a device, and when that selected device executes, then we're going to call something like await get makes. Oops.
Uh,
Get
okay.
makes, and we're gonna pass in the device.
Okay. I mean,
So you're
could
gonna
it be
pass
like
in the device, and then it's just gonna return the makes for that device. That's my thought on it.
so?
So
Now
this
instead
right
of
here,
device.vacuum, like you would put selected device, right?
here, yeah.
This would be there in place of device.vacuum, right?
This here,
Yeah, this would be there in place of device.vacuum, right? In
yeah.
the
So
in line number
instead of
91.
its initial state, device dot none. If somebody selected vacuum, then this would be vacuum.
Yeah, I'm talking in line number 91.
Yeah.
Like, so whatever device you select, so that should be, yeah, instead of device.vacuum, that should be the one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, so like the problem is now in selected device in line number 80, you're setting it as device.none. Now there is no make for the device.none corresponding, right?
No. No.
Yeah, that's why it's very that's why you're not able to find out what to initialize it with, right? At line number 81.
But I mean, no, we could just initialize it as name with an empty string and then make our make just for now.
So yeah, okay, yeah, I mean, just do that then, like for now, because anyways it is going to change. Like you just don't care about the initial value, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
So
think
that works.
Oh, you okay? Yeah.
Because set selected, so set makes. When this function runs where we actually get the makes, so on device select, we'll probably just call this function in there, right?
Yeah.
We'll get the makes.
Change it the name differently. No, it's
Yeah,
not makes.
I'm just gonna comment it for now because
Okay.
we're not actually building that code right now. But yeah, so
Okay.
we'll have this in here, and then it won't even be any of this. I guess it could be because we would do set makes with the makes with these that we get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'd use those makes to actually populate the makes. Right
Okay.
now we
Yeah.
have like this dummy data.
Okay.
And we just want to make sure that we're able to populate the models based on this dummy data.
Okay. So now you are done. We have done with the makes. Now you're trying to connect makes to models, right? I mean, based on the device, we can get makes. Now, based on the make, you need to get the model in the UI, right?
Yeah, now we need to do select and make. So I have on make select.
Yeah.
We're gonna set selected make. Basically with this almost same code, right?
Yeah.
Set selected make. E-target value as make. No.
Yeah. So that, I mean, now it's not an enum, right? So you need to check that.
Set selected make. So what are we starting our makes as? So use state set makes. On make select set makes. That's actually what it's supposed to be. And then set makes is an array of makes. Its initial value is an array. So
So when you select the like, what is that e dot target dot value? I mean, like,
this is
what
going to
exactly
be
it is?
coming from the event. So when we actually click on this button here,
Yeah. Okay. Can you
once-
see like,
once you
well,
click that,
let's.
that's on change.
Yeah, we can go like step by step. We can see like when you do select a make, like what exactly that e prints for now. You can check that first.
This one
Like
here.
just do a console log dot e and see like what exactly it prints. I mean, yeah.
On make select. So let's go ahead and just add that to our select here.
Yeah.
On make select.
What is that make.id? Does not exist on type make.
Change its name for now, because we changed the key here to device name anyways. Yeah, because that's how we were able to get access to the
Yeah.
name. Yep. Okay.
Like yes.
I remember. All right, let's
And
check
now
out
you-
what that E is.
Yeah.
So when you select the make, we get the target. Same thing we were getting earlier. We get a name
Value.
and we get the
Okay,
value.
value is Dyson. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting the value. Now if you go back, you can use that. So now e.target.value is your make string. Okay. Now you should get e.target.value, I think.
Well, that should be on yeah, that should be set selected make.
And you can check like how is that make object, like the dummy object make is connected to model. I mean, I didn't see that, so because that way you can know like what to search for.
Yeah, so the make that we have right now, the type is just a device and a name.
Yeah, and then how that make is connected to model, like in the data in the. Okay,
How this make is connected to model.
I mean, like for example, like if you go down in, let's say I choose vacuum, and in vacuum, let's say if I choose Dyson.
Yes.
So what is that Dyson corresponding to? Did we create that? Like what are the models with respect to Dyson?
No, I haven't created any other models
Yeah.
yet.
So let's
Yeah,
create
so
that
okay.
first time, and that would be better. Yeah. I would say try to do it like okay, you're creating like this. I mean, because that would be difficult to like map it, because now Dyson makes is a variable, right? So like how would
Exactly.
you?
So when we actually go to the real data, we're just gonna when we import the makes, we're gonna have Dyson, Kirby, Ricard, whatever, and then based on if they select Dyson, then we'll be able to pull the Dyson makes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So
we're only ever gonna pull this data if we need it. We're never pulling this data otherwise. We're only ever gonna pull the makes for one device and one make at one time.
Okay. So for ease, can't we do like a hash map? I mean, Dyson would correspond to this object, the string Dyson. I mean, wouldn't that be better? Like just for ease. Anyways, it's going to be like everything through APIs, right? Because the problem is if you do like Dyson models, now it's more like the way which you are creating like a switch case, right?
No, so that's not gonna happen. Because
Okay.
because when this is actually built out, we're gonna have set makes with our makes. We're gonna have set models with our make, or this is gonna be whatever the device type. So we're gonna figure out what these makes are based on the device type. So when they decide like, oh, it's a television, once that switches, once that selected device is an actual device and it's not none, then it's gonna go ahead and call this get makes, and it's gonna pull in the data of the makes related. So like we're not, all that's gonna be separate external data that we're gonna pull in from a different API. There's no connections here. All this data is literally dummy data. We're gonna delete all of this stuff, and we're not pulling in like, for example, this is what it's gonna be like when someone first lands on the page, right? This is the only thing that's gonna exist in the code, the devices. And then once the device is selected, so let's say somebody chooses the vacuum, then all that's going to be gone, and we're only going to have this. So we're going to have the device, and we're going to have the vacuum makes. We're not even going to have the other devices again, unless they move back. Then we'll have to reload the devices, because we only ever need what we need at a certain time. And then when somebody chooses Dyson, then the only data that's going to be on the page is this here. So we're only ever pulling in the data that's dependent on the previous step. Once the previous step is loaded, then we're going to load all the makes. And even just saying vacuum makes is kind of confusing. It should just say makes, and this shouldn't say Dyson models. This just should say models. So that it'll be super simple later. I just have like a bunch of dummy data, which kind of makes things confusing right now.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, it's just that like in dummy data as well now, like let's say if you choose Dyson, okay.
Mhm.
So let's say you select Dyson. Now your value is a Dyson string, right? That the Dyson string I'm saying. The value, your target value is, if you like go to line number 34, yeah. So that string is the value. Now, how are you, like, let's say instead of Dyson, if I choose Kirby now, how are you going to connect that to the const model, like the Dyson model or Kirby models in this code now? How are you going to connect that?
So my idea would be to get rid of this device and change it to make.
Okay. Yeah, but okay. And that will be like Dyson string you're saying? There's no enum. I mean, it's basically,
Yeah.
there's no enum.
Yeah. So that would be the problem, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So it's better, like, I mean, anyways, you know that your APIs is going to get the data. So in API, how it works, let's say initially you just choose vacuum, nothing is there, only vacuum is there, okay? Now you have that keyword vacuum, okay, set, chosen. Now that you will use that vacuum and you'll basically make an API call, right? And that will give you any makes which are related to vacuum, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after that you choose whatever the make within vacuum, let's say Dyson. Now you'll make an API call and you'll get everything which is related to Dyson, right, from the API.
Yeah. So do we even need this centerpiece at all?
Yeah, so I'm saying like just to, anyways it's dummy, so try to like replicate how the API is going to work, I mean, in the
So
data.
so when let's just say someone selects vacuum, then it's gonna go pull in the data, and there's gonna be a ton of different makes. So we're gonna bring in those makes. We know that all of the makes that exist in the page that load based on the selection of vacuum is gonna be connected here. Like this is sort of redundant because it's not gonna exist on the page unless it's a
Yeah,
vacuum
correct.
type.
Yeah.
And then same with this. When you choose Dyson and that's the make that you select, you're not even going to need this because any of the models that appear on the page are going to be connected to whatever was selected here.
Yeah. So just for simplicity, the way I was telling you to like form the data is, so let's say you have a list of devices, okay? Vacuum, stove, washer, television, computer. Okay, from line number 25 to 31.
Yeah.
Now to make it very easy, like don't, I mean, I know how the API is going to work, but for now, consider it that you're basically calling an API in a new object, which will be basically, let's say, if I have vacuum as the keyword, its value is going to be a list of all the makes which belong to vacuum. So it's like this, like I'm just putting in the chat. So it's like, let's say if I have, let's say vacuum, I put, and it would be list of makes of vacuum. I'm typing, almost done. Like this. So that's what I'm saying. Like in this way, what you need to do is very simple. Like whatever value you choose, let's say device.name vacuum, you just need to basically fetch its corresponding list from that object.
And so what would be the other fields on that object?
So in that, whatever make field you have, the same field. Like what all makes a dice, let's say vacuum makes, what are the fields? Because the fields for vacuum, dice, vacuum, stove, the fields are not going to change, right? Only the values are going to change, correct?
For different types of vacuums? Sure. Yeah.
No, for different types of devices,
Yeah.
the make object structure is not going to change, right? Let me show you. Let me type
No,
it.
it's always going to be a list of makes. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Okay. I have the access, right? Just see, like I'm typing on the VS Code. I'll just create like one simple thing. So it's basically going to be like this, like const device make object. So yeah, I'm typing there. Okay, you can see that. So my concept is going to be like this. Anyways, it is going to be static, right? So it's going to be like this.
Well, if we're pulling it in from a API, then it can change, right?
Can what can change?
The data that's coming in from the API.
Yeah,
the,
I
the
mean,
actual internal. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that I mean, you don't have to worry about that now, right?
All right. So you got the vacuum field with vacuum objects, the make objects essentially.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask too. Like to what he's doing. Are you guys gonna use like a NoSQL database in your backend? Like, would you just pull that API data into a NoSQL database? 'Cause then, like this, would what he's doing now would be really easy if it was.
yeah, but we are not going to store anything, right? Like I mean, we are going to store, but it's just that how the API is going to react to. That's what we are trying to do. Just like just for ease of creating the APIs. I mean,
Yeah. So
I just want to like consolidate everything into one so that it would be easy to like just do that hash map thing. It's more like basically just one-to-one mapping rather than having like it's like just give me
what's
just
this
I'll
here?
give.
What's this here?
Oh, so this basically is going to be like now, uh, it's now this next thing. Like this was one object, so the other object is going to be now in this is going to be what was that stove.
Why do you want this vacuum here though? Why not just send back an array with objects?
No, but how are you going? So if I choose device.vacuum,
Yeah.
like how are you going? How to like capture that device.vacuum all makes which are connected with device.vacuum?
We already have this. We already have device.vacuum. So when we do selected device, it's going to say vacuum. And based on that selected device that you pass in to get makes, it's going to return the makes for the vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, but so no, I mean the way I was saying was it's like the way we are doing now is like you have you use that selected device and then uh oh you're okay oh you I mean the how can I explain this? I mean it's more like okay, let's go ahead with models and let's see like how to map it now.
Can
Okay,
I ask
show you.
why would we add, where was your thing?
I mean,
why would we add, oh, did you delete it?
yeah, oh, it's there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my thing was like, why would we add this word and then a whole nother object and then a whole nother array? We could literally just pass back an array with make objects.
I think maybe I could be wrong, but I think the point he was trying to make is like how the data is going to be coming back from the API you're going to utilize, maybe. So like, hey, is it going to come back as an array of JSON data, or are we going to pull it from a relational database? Like, there's multiple ways we can get this data back, I would assume. And it's like, are you using an external API that's going to give you an array of JSON data, or are you using an API you're going to create? And you could either use a relational database or a NoSQL database. That
Ye-
determines what the data is going to look like when it's returned. I think that's maybe the point he's trying to make, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think if we return it with just an array with make objects, we'll be fine because all we need is the name of the make for the most part. Because if you look down here at this code, when we generate that every select item, so there's gonna be like every make is gonna be a select item. We want it to be an array, and we want to map over it, and we want each object inside that array to be a make object. So if it comes back in just an array with make objects, that's totally fine.
make
'Cause that's
objects with like for all devices you're saying.
no, for only the device that was passed into this function here.
So how are you going to connect that device to that specific list of make objects?
Why do you have to do that?
So let's say if I choose vacuum, how would you know, like based on the dummy data, that okay, I need to fetch all the make objects only which belongs to vacuum?
because you pass the selected device into the get makes, and we're gonna have an external API running, maybe an Express server that processes
No,
this.
I'm
It
yeah,
returns
I'm saying
only.
in the dummy data. In the dummy data, how are you going to connect? Like
The
you're right.
the
See,
dummy data is not gonna be here in a week from now, so I'm not.
yeah, but
It's here, but I'm not
Huh.
really like. I'm trying to ignore it and just think about the way that things are gonna be.
Yeah, I mean my point was like since we are writing the code considering the dummy data, like the way we are going to get the data from the APIs, we wouldn't it might make us to change the code as well.
Well, let's
That's
not do it as the dummy data. If you look at the dummy data, so the vacuum makes,
Hmm.
these are coming back in the way that they're going to be coming back from the API. Right.
Yeah, this they are going to commit in that way. They will come to us in that way.
Actually,
But
some of this stuff does need to be changed though, because I think we don't even need this. I think
Yeah,
that's
right.
good. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I don't even think we need this. I don't even think we need the IDs, honestly. We really just need the names, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Because if it comes back like this,
right.
we're fine.
Hmm.
Which makes me think like we could literally just return it as an array of strings, right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just that, yeah, we can go ahead with it. I'm just only thing which I'm worried is like, if we like write the code in such a way that the way this data structure is, like, then, I mean, it's just that we shouldn't have to make change in the code. Like, for example, that get makes function makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to be.
Yeah, so
But,
let's assume that we're going to be returning the data back as just strings. Build it
Yeah.
like that, and then if we need to add anything more later, then we could do that. Because if we
But
do it
w-
is
okay.
the simplest way possible with just strings, we know we're getting back strings
Correct, yeah.
at bare minimum. Plus, we're probably going to get back a whole bunch of other stuff that we're just not really thinking about right now. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like if we add make and make dot Dyson and all this stuff, and then this isn't coming back, which we could make it come back at the end of the day. Like we could make the makes come
So-
back.
So this in Dyson model, now you have the Dyson model, right?
Yeah.
So in that, just remove that make.dyson and like let's create some data into it, like just to test that. Just yeah, some data. I want to like let's connect first the make to model. Let's get that done and see like if what code we have to write for that.
Exactly. If we could get this,
Yeah, let's get that thing done. Yeah, just type some dummy data. Yeah.
yeah. So let's get that working. But we do have some errors. So all right. So these are the errors. We're not using these yet. And then, all right. So to get the device select, set makes. Let me just get rid of this extra stuff. Oh, okay. So we do have selected device map. We didn't delete that, did we? Let me just delete this.
Yeah, remove that. Yeah.
Selected device map. Okay, so we got that. Let's clean this up a little bit. All right.
Why is it there's an error? String list. Oh, now it's a list of string, right?
Array. Yes. So now it's coming back as a list of strings. So let's go ahead and set makes. Actually,
Yeah, just
let me just.
I would say
let me
let
just
it
change
be
the
the
make
yeah.
and just say.
Mm,
Mm,
I don't think that would work because
yeah, we could just say strings for now.
yeah. Yeah, even this yeah, string. Even I think the selected make as well you need to and just remove the object completely. Yeah, just string. That should be good.
Yeah.
Now that should remove the now you can still there's an error.
So for each make, it's just gonna be a string. All right, cool.
Yeah, there's still an error.
Argument of type is not assignable to.
Oh, the map, I think. Oh.
Set selected device map.
So the vacuum maker, stove makers all need to be changed, right?
Vacuum makes. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, everything
Well,
need.
yeah.
Oh, you changed. Oh no. Why is it giving?
I think because.
Oh yeah,
this.
you need to change everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be better starting simple.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like better to get that backend as soon as possible because like then like it's or else I can like quickly create a backend API as well. Like there you can create mock APIs,
There.
worst case,
All right.
and put like dummy data there.
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
Yeah, rather than because this gets like a bit complicated because you have a mindset of
Do we need? Yeah, we'll go ahead and keep that for now. Let me make sure the app still works.
yeah.
Here we are. All right, so vacuum cleaner, Riccar. All right, so our old functionality is working. We're good to go. So we did on device select, we did set selected device. Here we're gonna do set selected make, which, let's see, what was that again? All right, so we have our name and our value.
Now, yeah, now we have to check the model object and see like how to fetch how to get the Ricard models.
Let me see this real quick. And then on form change with the E passed into it. Well, all right, so we actually need a name too. We do need that name, right? How did we get the name last time? Was it the key?
The name as yeah, I mean it was the key in that we added the name, but that name why do you need the name, you're saying?
Because we need to set the form. Because we need device make to be set here. Because this is what we're inputting. I mean, this is what we're sending to the server action.
Oh yeah.
When they're on the last one, we're gonna send all
So
the data. At
I
the
think
same
the
time.
device device type I think you statically defined. If you see one you variable you statically value was the one which was like setting in case of make. So this time device model will be value. Why do you need you? I don't think you need the name, right? Because like your device make is already set based on the selected device, right? You need the device model which will be set. You just need the value, right? If you go back to the form, based on what device you select, your device type and your device make is getting set, right?
Didn't we need to set it though?
Yeah, so the device type I think we statically set.
How?
If you see, yeah, you can see line number 107. 107.
Name, device type. All right, so with this one, we're gonna do name.
But why do you need? I'm just saying, like, why do you need the name? I mean,
because if you look at this function here, the update form, it's using the name.
Or name and its corresponding value.
The name as the field.
Oh, okay.
And its value as the actual
Okay.
value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So this should work now.
Okay.
Yeah, now that we have the name. All right, cool. So let me just make sure we have that name and we should be good to go. All right, so vacuum cleaner.
Oh, map. Oh. I cannot read undefined map. It's a list, right? So, I mean, map should work. I think it's in that below code map. Uh,
Let me see.
just do.
Oh, okay. All right. I think I just had to
Yeah.
refresh. All right, so we have device make and we have the make name. All right, perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we need to go ahead and so we set the selected make. That means selected make will be set.
Yeah. Now you need to do set models. You need to do.
Set models. So we're gonna need another use effect that changes only when the selected make changes, right? I wonder if can we put selected make?
Yeah, I was
well,
thinking.
The,
I was
the thing is,
thinking,
we don't
but
want to
like,
we don't want to set the makes every time the makes changes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
better to have two different use effect.
how do you know this much, man? I thought you were a beginner with JavaScript.
As in, what?
I thought you were a beginner with JavaScript. You know so much, bro.
I am still a beginner. I mean, this is like basic. That's. It's not like for the interview, the way I studied, I remember like I was like 24 hours. I was just studying JavaScript. It was just going around in my head, JavaScript all the time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. So in this one, we're doing selected device map. So we're actually using this here, and we're using the enums.
Yeah, just create one more hash map then. But this time it would be string corresponding to the make. I mean, instead of enum.
Yeah, but we're gonna need to put that in a place where we actually have the makes, right?
I mean, you can just put it below that, right? I mean, it's just a const variable, right? Like, I mean, just below line number 7. Yeah.
All right. So
Oh, I don't think you need to put it inside, right? You can put it out because it's going to be static, right?
if I do selected make, no.
No, and that's what I'm saying. You have to create that statically. Like, put like Dyson string with
Okay.
like it should be a static. So instead of device dot vacuum, it should be like yeah, like Dyson string none. Yeah. Yes, and then Dyson model.
Dyson models.
Yeah, like that. Why do you need the square bracket? It's not a list, right? I mean, it can be just string, right? A string. I think you need to put string, right?
Do you have to?
Yeah, because it's the one which you have in your list is a string value, right? The one which is getting in the
Yeah, the selected make here.
yeah, so
Yeah,
that is
string,
a string value, so it should be a string.
So
Yeah, you can just put like all static, yeah. What are they
Dyson. We don't have to go ahead and create the model.
Hey everyone,
Hey,
I'm a bit late. What are we doing?
we're just getting this form to work here.
Mm. Why do
Um,
we put like strings as indexes, like as keys in the map?
Because we are. Hold on.
Yeah,
you
there's
want
an
to
error.
explain it, Adita? I'm just gonna go ahead.
Like if we have enums already.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we didn't do enums for the makes is because enums are usually generics, right? I mean, something which are static and which never going to change, irrespective of whatever happens in the business. It's like
Mhm.
like
Yep.
stove,
Mhm.
computer, TV, those are the generic terms. But like for makes which are like Dyson company names like LG or something, like they can change, right, anytime. So I mean, the reason we are creating that hash map is basically just for dummy. Actually, we would never need that indexes as hash map. It's more like you have an API, external API. You give them a make name, right, in the API, let's say /Dyson. And then they'll give you its corresponding models which belong to Dyson. So ultimately, it's going to be like that, like calling the API, external API, by giving them the certain make name like Dyson, any string name, whatever, like Dyson or LG, and they'll give all its corresponding models. So that's the reason we are creating that string as Dyson and all. But
Uh-huh.
for now, it's
Okay,
just
but it's I got an idea, but it's still not the proper place. In this case that you've described, they should be in database, not in map inside code.
yeah.
If something, if we suppose that something will change frequently, then the code it's the last place where we need to put it in.
So
I mean,
you think that instead of calling an API, whenever that request is made, put it in a database, even though things. The thing is, how often does it change, right? Like how
Yeah,
often
yeah.
does a company go out of business, and how often does a new one start? It's not. There's probably hundreds that are going into business, but none that are worthy of mention. And the ones that are big, it's highly unlikely that they're going out of business. If like Dyson went out of business, we would hear about it. So it's data that can potentially change, but definitely not often, and definitely not in meaningful ways.
Then we can use enums. Then it's not a reason to not use enums if it won't be changed frequently.
I mean,
And if it is, we will change one enum, and it will like the value of enum. We will change the value of enum, and it will be changed all over the code because like it will be easy to refactor that.
but
And if we use like static strings, it will be nightmare to refactor that if it will be used at least in one other place of the code that static
Yeah,
string usage.
you're saying you'll have that one
Enums
source
are
of truth.
not only created to like cover like tiny constants or something like that. No, it's like for much more. That's
but-
why it's a little bit strange for me to use like strings in keys.
But what if there are like 100 makes? Are you going to create 100 enums?
It will database. That's what I like started from.
But
This
we are not.
data should be in database, like ideally. If you don't want to use database, it should be in enums. So like using strings are the least like appropriate way to do that, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, my understanding was that the code which now Jim is writing, like the reason he is writing is like whatever, like for example, let's say you call an external API, let's say, okay. Now that API is like I'm typing on the VS Code only, so you can see like where Jim is highlighted. I'm typing there. So let's say the API is https:/home appliances /makes /Dyson. Okay.
Okay.
Now this Dyson is basically going to be a string, right? Which you are going to call the external API.
Okay.
Correct. So let's say you have built the external API, whatever you have in your the backend. Let's say now in the backend, if you see how exactly ideally it would be stored. Let's say if they are using a NoSQL, then they would have, let's say, a database where let's say it would be like make name, or that would be a key, and it would be Dyson, and then it would have, let's say, one more p IBS models, and then that would be a list of all the model object.
Wouldn't you just create a separate model in the schema, and then create a relationship between the makes and the models?
Like my point is to not use like strings if we have enums.
Yeah.
We have enum with a string value. And if we use enums in code, you just need to, in the future, for example, if something changes, we we change only let's we see this enum device on the screen, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just suppose that we use stove enum, stove washer, whatever, and we use this enum in different parts of our code. So like it's okay, yeah, with the same value stove like string. And if in the future this stove will be changed, we will need to change only this exact value of enum stove on the ninth line.
Yeah,
And
I get what you're saying.
our code will automatically work no matter what in the future. And if we use like simple strings, we will use that in different parts of our code. And then we will need to, if something changes about that stove, we will need to replace that stove with another value all over the code.
So
it could be like 100 different places to change, and it will be a nightmare. It will be 100% hidden bugs and lots of work around like to discover what is going on, what is wrong. I like 100%. I just bet for it.
Now I understand, but I'm saying that ultimately we are not even going to use these enums. We are going to remove all enums as well. Everything is going to get removed. Like the final code is not the when we'll have the backend, we won't even have these enums. Like it's just a dummy enums. All these. It's not going to be part of the code. That's what I'm saying.
So we will. Am I right? We will delete this part of code like sometimes in the future.
Once we have the backend API, we won't even have these enums, like the device enums. Everything will be fetched from the backend.
Okay, then just write a comment about that, and it will be transparent and clear for everyone.
Yeah.
Why do we use these enums here? Without a comment, it's not obvious at all.
Yeah, right, Jim? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Correct, right? That we are not going to have these enums as well, right?
Yeah, so we're talking about it right now. I mean, if we went and we created enums for everything, like let's say we created enums for the devices, which this is just a few devices. There's obviously going to be maybe 30 devices, you know? And then we're going to have makes for each one of those devices, which can be hundreds, at least like top ones.
Yeah, yep.
And then we also, for each make, have definitely dozens of models, at least recent ones. So coding up all of those as enums sounds
it will be nightmare. That's why I started my talk from database, like because the place of such kind of entities are in
now
database.
would you ever even have to, I mean, yeah, I guess technically if that's what we're doing, right? If we're building an external API like a simple Express server or any kind of server, I don't really care, and then we make a request to that server from this Next.js server for that data when we need that data, if we need that data, that's coming from a database. It's coming from our database, and then the however we decide to get the data, there's going to be one of two ways that we get this data and store it in the database, right? One of them is some API exists within these companies or industries that give us access to this data, or we scrape Wikipedia for this data. Essentially.
Yeah. But this way it will be done properly, like with database, because it's the place for these entities are in database. But if we need something just for test for now, like name that const or name that enum dummy device data, if you don't want to write a comment. So like the name of that enum will be like self-descriptive. If you want it like in this way, like simple device, then just add a comment to that enum with like proper description why it is added for now and in what like issue or task we have aboard, it will be changed. So like ideally it should be a task already created on our board to replace these enums with database realization when times come. And like a link for that issue or like task is added to this exact comment. So like it will be this way, it will be transparent for everyone. Like for example, for me, I just connected and I see that something is going wrong in the code. And like if I see this comment, like no questions at all will be from like newcomers.
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
It's like transparency and like making code clear. It's one of the most important things, especially like doing something open source, collaborating with others, because like not everyone are present on sessions. Someone works like without joining sessions at all, so it could be like totally async work. So like, this kind of comments at least will help a lot, like others, and especially for ourselves, because like in several months we will just forget what this enum was added for.
Yeah. There'll be a comment that says, do not remove this enum. We don't know what it's for. It's very important.
Yeah. I believe we don't need this like this line 14 between the comment and enum itself.
We do have it built in a way that requires that. That's why we were switching it over to strings just for now.
That blank line is required?
This line here, I believe we use device here. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
14,
we go
like
ahead and we set if we
blank
s-
line 14, is it required between comment and enum itself?
here.
Line 14.
14. Oh no.
Oh.
Nah.
Now it's like obvious that this comment is to this enum.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Now it's understandable. Yeah, now it's like totally clear.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I like this better. Because if I was coming and visiting this code, if I just had like a quick little note where I could read and now you understand what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so we're going to set, because we're just going to, at this point, let's just assume that any of the data that's coming in is just a string. Because we'll start simple and then expand out as we realize, like, oh, we actually need more stuff. So we won't even have a name, actually. We'll just pass it all back as arrays.
Just a list of, yeah.
Just a list of strings.
If you don't need a unique identifier, then yep. Because like for as I know for React components, like if you, for example, create a list, you need that unique identifier.
Yeah, I mean, like when you will call the API, when you'll fetch the devices, I think they will not just be list, but they will be like list of objects where
Definitely.
each device name will have its own unique
Yeah,
identifier.
that's why I'm asking, because if we will have that structure, then we should mimic it right now to not change our code in the future.
Yeah, but we don't have the APIs. We don't know whether the APIs.
Well, we're gonna
but
build the
definitely
API.
it will be ID for every object, I suppose.
ID at bare minimum, ID and name, you're saying?
ID and name, it's like it should be like not must maybe, but it should be, because like a unique identifier in some way should be, of course, and like the name obvious again.
All right, we'll do that. I don't like using dummy data for this reason. Do you think there's any better way to create dummy data?
Can you like actually see the link which I have posted? Like there is this API, Home Connect API.
What is it?
It's basically it's the API for all either physical appliances and simulated home appliances. So I'm not sure. Like there was one oven, I think there was one in dummy data as one of the device.
Does it have the sort of stuff that we're looking for?
Yeah, I'm just checking. I'm just checking if it has make and models or not.
At bare minimum, this. We probably will have to. I mean, we could send it back any way we want. Why would we send it back with anything more than it needs? And let me ask you this. Why? I guess it'll have an ID because it's stored in the database, right? That's it.
Huh?
I was just saying, like, why do you need an ID? But naturally, it's going to come back as an ID if it's with an ID if it's stored in the database, right?
Yeah. It will be like it could be int or UUID, for example, but ID should be like definitely. I don't know how it could be without ID. So it's like so obvious that. By the way, you could use enums. We don't need to duplicate the Dyson string, for example, if we have enum for the Dyson.
Well, I'm only going to write it once anyways.
Because like even if these all arrays are a dummy data, if we need to, for example, change a Dyson, for example,
So all this stuff,
we
though,
will need to change that Dyson string in all the occurrences.
So let me give you an example. So we have our list of devices. The main thing that we want to happen on this website is we got okay, I'll fix that. Let me just explain it. So we have our devices, right? We have our devices right here. Basically, what we're doing is we have a selected device. It starts off as an empty string or an object, a device object. And on selected device, when you click on that selected device, it is going to set the makes. So we're going to set the makes. And the makes that are being passed in is dependent on the device that was selected, basically. So we're not actually using any of those strings down here. And by the time anything else is added, we're going to be pulling it in from the database, right?
If it will be if it is like so close to like, maybe in a matter of days or weeks, like let it be, just to not waste time. But if it's like for more time, then maybe it should be like in more consistent way. Yeah. But
well, let me ask you this: if we know the data is coming in as objects with at bare minimum an ID and a name, why do we need the enum? If we're gonna be using these we're gonna be using this object.
I don't know. Like I don't know. Like if it will be replaced like really soon, like no reason to like to do anything even close to like optimize the code. Just dummy values. Yeah, and like the one more moment to make it even more transparent, I would probably extract all this dummy data to like dummy data.ts and store them like only there. So like all that like temporary dummy data will be extracted somewhere, and it will be
you would keep it.
What?
You would keep it?
No. You know how polymorphism works? When we could replace one thing with another thing, like it's like open closed principle from Solid and dependency inversion. When you rely not on realization but on abstraction. So we could make an abstraction, for example, grab all devices or get all devices method. that will return an array of object with data.
Mm-hmm.
And in our code here in this file, we will call that method get all devices.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and we don't care in this exact file. We don't care
And-
what it will be.
And
Like,
you would
inside that method, we know that, and TS helps us to do that with like type hinting.
Mm-hmm.
And that method we know, and it's totally enough for us to rely on that. That it will be an array of object of this structure. That's all we need in this method.
I got
And
what you're
that
saying.
method,
We're
that
gonna
method will like return this dummy data for now. And when we have that in database, we will just replace the logic in that exact method to not grab dummy data, but to grab like to use a select and to grab them that from database. And in this way, like we will do only one change in one specific method, and that's all. We don't need to change all other code that is relied on this exact function. This way, it works to support open closed solid principle and dependency inversion.
Yeah.
They like works. They work always like together.
And we're gonna be using these functions later anyways. It's not like these functions are gonna be in a
of
different
course,
file
of course.
anyway. So
And
we're literally, instead of creating the devices here with a static array, we're just gonna be making
We
a
will
call
do
to the
select from database.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And but just like ideally it should be some kind of another file, some kind maybe called data provider, for example, that will returns this data for us. So there will be like a pack of methods that's returning our data.
Mm-hmm.
And we every method it should be like ideally it should be an interface for like that data provider, or for at least for functions, and that functions will return like a specific set of data. So it could be a type or an interface. The TypeScript supports both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it should be a proper return type. Yeah. And in our code here in diagnosis TS6, we use only these methods and relying on that they are returning. And dummy data like should be in like totally another file that will be just dropped somewhere in the future.
Yes.
This approach will help us a lot to switch from dummy data to database data.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's already set up. And then if someone wants to go ahead and import the ones we're going to be using from this file, that'd be sweet. I'll just create these mock ones we need real quick.
Just add the return type for that functions for getters.
There's got to be an easier way to type all this out too.
Usually you use interface for that. So you create interface, and it will be like a schema for future references. You add interface with a bunch of methods, and then implement that interface here. And then in client code, so
What do you mean
for
by
now,
what do
for
you
now
mean by
it's
interface?
diagnosis TS6, it's our client code. We will inject that, like rely on that abstraction on interface and inject it somehow. I don't know
What do you mean?
if,
What do you mean by interface?
what?
What do you mean by interface?
Like JS interfaces, an abstraction.
Mm.
Like, of course, we don't use classes here. It will be like easier if we use like that syntax sugar in the form of classes. And
And this
yeah,
function.
but we can actually we can create an interface for or type for every function and return it as return type. It will be still okay. Not the ideal, but still okay.
How would that be different than what this is?
Because you don't set a type. You don't set a return type here in these getters.
No. No.
Yeah, and we use TypeScript. So why do we use TypeScript if we don't use features of TypeScript?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do slowly add them in, but I'm not
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about it all the time.
There is like in TypeScript is you know TypeScript is like a pussy. It could provide you with like lots of functionality, but won't insist for you to use that.
Yeah, true.
So it's on your shoulders. In like strict types in languages with strict types, like for example Golang or Java or like lots of others, C#, doesn't matter. You can't write a function without properly type it.
Yeah.
Like so,
yeah.
all arguments must be typed.
I like
all
that
return
better. That's better. I
return
think.
values must be typed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in TypeScript you could do that, but TypeScript won't insist you to do that. And Golang, for example,
can configure it though for that.
Yeah. So it's a rule of thumb for developers to like, if you create a function, it should be fully typed. So like all arguments and return type. Yeah. In this way, you could rely in diagnosis TS6. You could rely on these types when you call this or that getter. And then you just replace this const like stomakes, this array, with some kind of call to database, and everything works perfectly.
Yeah, I like that. I think the most important thing you said was just pulling these functions out of here. It's like, because we had the dummy data, but it's like, we're going to be building these functions anyways. We're already talking about pulling the data from a database. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that's something we should have done a while ago. But it's all good.
Yeah. That's how open close and dependency inversion works.
Yeah,
it's
just easier to work with. It's just easier to code like that. It's just
Yes,
it feels like
yes.
more relaxing, you know.
Yes. Like Solid was written, on a blood of like lots of generation of developers.
Yeah. True. All right, so we're gonna have to make. So tonight's basically configuration. I feel like it's just a lot of like organization, structuring code, that sort of thing. And then, because it's about 10:45 right now, so I'm going to be hopping off in like 15.
Yeah,
But
now you just need to call that functions.
I'm interested in that interface thing that you were talking about, though. Like, because you said that you would make this better by using an interface and abstracting.
TypeScript interfaces. Yeah. You could just read about them.
Don't you only use the interface if you're passing something into a function, though?
In TypeScript, interfaces are not like cause of prototype inheritance. That is not usual inheritance. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with in JavaScript, inheritance is
Yeah.
like not typical one. It calls prototype inheritance because everything is inherits the parent prototype object.
Yeah.
Everything is an object, and it inherits prototype. So everything starts from prototype parent object, and because of that, interfaces works a little bit different here, like in TypeScript as well, than in most of other object-oriented languages. Like, so the in JavaScript or in TypeScript, interfaces work similar to types, but with some differences. So you could use, for example, not type make. You could use an interface for that.
Now, all right. So this is what I learned was that you only use interface if it's an object that you're passing into a function.
No. It's like interface. It's how it's called. It's a schema, you know.
Yeah.
For example, we have a database and we have a schema for that database, but the realization of that schema, it's like on developers' shoulders.
Like for
example, like a solution architect like designs a database schema, so it's like a template. The path to work in that direction, and other developers will just implement that schema and use it like for their needs. Like interfaces works something similar to this approach.
Okay. Yeah, because I've done interfaces in React. Like I've done, like if I passed in some props or something like this, then I would call this diagnosis props, and then I'd go ahead and create an interface diagnosis props, and then whatever I want to break this down to. So if the props had like a name,
so like
an ID, and then so the interface, I use the interface, but I only use it with passing into functions.
You can just replace interface with type, and it will work still.
Yeah, so what's the big difference then?
They are similar, but they have difference. Actually, I don't remember exactly the one or two. There are like a few of them only. It's need to read about that. Yeah, I'm like not a super strong TypeScript guy, because
I don't know the difference. You could use them interchangeably, I noticed, because I've tried it and it works. But the only difference is I try to keep them separate by only using interfaces if I know that I'm passing it into a function, and then use types for return values or like creating objects and that sort of thing. But I don't know. I never did the research. Just for some reason, I do it like that. I think I just saw people do it like that for the most part, you know. How did you learn?
Interfaces or solid or what?
No, I mean, how did you learn computer science and programming?
Like by myself. I have international business master degree, so I don't have like computer science degree or something like that. It was just like by myself, and during the job.
Yeah. Wow. That's
it's just every new language, it's really similar. Not similar, but easier, because some things are pretty similar between languages. Especially C-type languages. So it's C#, C++, JS, PHP. They are pretty similar. Like even the syntax is super similar. Java, they like. I'm like, I have the most experience with PHP, and like added different languages in my stack as well. So like Golang, several years ago I started to write in Golang, and it was like totally different experience from C-type languages, because it's like everything is different, and interface usage as well. But like if you see JS code, it's everything is similar, despite some except some changes like language specific things. And for example, vanilla JS, it's pretty hard for me, but TypeScript it's super easy because I know
That's
how it works
interesting.
with types. I know how it works with that polymorphism with solid. So everything works. Yeah, and it works the same in all the languages, but like maybe with some little differences.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why I can just see a TypeScript code and understand what is going on. The same with like Java, the same with C Sharp. C Sharp and PHP are like clones in a matter of syntaxes.
yeah. I started with JavaScript, but I don't like JavaScript. Like, I think JavaScript is good for like really rapid prototyping, just to see if you could get something work. Like, but that's it. Once you know that, once you have like a minimum viable product, something small, you know, like it's a small system you could get working and it makes sense, and you just have something working, then you can move to TypeScript and actually start building it for real. But you never build it for real with JavaScript.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
TypeScript is just safer. Like not only this advantage, yeah, but it's the main as for me because like I hated JavaScript before I just like saw a TypeScript and like, oh cool, now I can write something in JavaScript using TypeScript. It was my first thought.
Let me clean this up before we hop off tonight.
Yeah, you could use types for now. It will be enough. Just to rely on that types
Just to know what we're getting
in
back.
client code in diagnosis TSX.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely when we build the API and we decide what's actually coming back based on what we need. Right now, it just seems like name is all we need to get these lists rendered and have values.
Like this way, if we use like strict return types, for example, with type device, we won't change anything in client code because like this could be used not only in diagnosis TSX and in different places of the code as well, these getters, but they will rely on this abstraction, on this type device. And if we grab from database data with like another format, not like for example the name could be not a key name actual, it could be like product name or device name. This way we will just in this getter we will just map that data to this type device, and everything will be still working all over the code, and we won't change anything. It's open closed principle.
Yeah. I like that. All right, so
you know, it's a good point to note for future usage on interviews. When have you used Solid in your practice? Boom.
Right here. Yeah, I've heard of Solid, but I never dug deep into it.
Yeah.
It
It's
makes sense though, because you could only put so much code in one file before it just gets tough to work with. For sure, you feel that. Everyone feels that, and this solves that problem so nicely. But I've also seen people over abstract, where they'll have like a file for one function. Every file is one function, and they have like 50 files, and each one has just one function. I'm like, that's kind of overkill.
Yeah. Like one line functions, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's not very good again. So like you need a balance between
exactly.
over abstraction and under abstraction.
Yeah.
But by the way, this case when you use Solid, I really advise you to note it and to use it in on the interview. This is a great example of usage.
Okay.
So like maybe it will give you a next step on the interview process. Someone.
Yeah, true. It's really good advice.
Jim, I just need to go and help folks with database. I just yeah, because we have a discussion today in project chat, and
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
I said that I will come and help them. So apologizes, but I will jump into that room and help folks.
No, you're good. I didn't even realize it was just me and you. I'm just gonna clean up these errors and then I'm signing off anyway. So, all right, enjoy, man. Have a good time.
Yeah. Have a nice one. Yeah. Bye bye.